Hi everyone, this is Miss Barb from the Sterling Heights Library, and I'm here to share with you today a story which is Tops and Bottoms by Janet Stevens. Kind of a silly story, kind of a trickster tale. We'll find out what happens in that story. And because the story has to do with vegetables, things that grow on top, above ground, and things that grow on the bottom, below ground, the craft that I chose for you to do today, if you like carrots I hope, is a craft that has to do with carrots. We are going to make a little weaving craft like that out of paper plate, and that is the carrots in the story. So without further ado, let's read the story, Tops and Bottoms. Tops and Bottoms by Janet Stevens. Once upon a time, there lived a very lazy bear who had lots of money and lots of land. His father had been a hard worker and a smart business bear, and he had given all of his wealth to his son. But all Bear wanted to do was sleep. Look at him sleeping in the chair. He's sound asleep. Not far down the road lived a hare. A hare is another name for a rabbit, in case you didn't know that. Although Hare was clever, he sometimes got into trouble. He had once owned land too, but now he had nothing. He had lost a risky bet with a tortoise, also called a turtle, and had sold all of his land to Bear to pay off the debt. Hare and his family were in very bad shape. "The children are so hungry, Father Hare. We must think of something," Mrs. Hare cried one day. So Hare and Mrs. Hare put their heads together and cooked up a plan. So there's all of the hares, all of the rabbits living together there. The next day, Hare hopped down the road to Bear's house. Bear, of course, was asleep. There you see Bear sleeping in his chair. "Hello, Bear, wake up. It's your neighbor, Hare, and I have an idea." Bear opened one eye and grunted. "We can be business partners," Hare said. "All we need is this field right here in front of your house. I'll do the hard work of planting and harvesting, and we can split the profit right down the middle." "Yes, sir. We can split the profit right down the middle. Bear, we're in this together. I'll work and you sleep." "Huh?" said Bear. "So what will it be, Bear?" asked Hare. "The top half or the bottom half? It's up to you. Tops or bottoms?" Let's see," Bear said with a yawn. "I'll take the top half, Hare. Right, tops." Hare smiled. "It's a done deal, Bear." Well, that sounds kind of strange. Hare said he would do all of the work, and Bear doesn't have to do any work. Do you think that Hare has some kind of trick he's thinking of? I think he might be thinking of a trick. Let's see what happens. So Bear went back to sleep, and Hare and his family went to work. Hare planted, Mrs. Hare watered, and everyone weeded. You see, all of the Hare family is hard at work. And look at Bear, he is asleep in his chair. Bear slept as the crops grew. When it was time for the harvest, Hare called out, "Wake up, Bear. You get the tops and I get the bottoms." Well, let's see what it was that Hare planted. Hare and his family dug up all of the carrots, the radishes, and the beets. Hare plucked off all the tops and tossed them into a pile for Bear and put the bottoms aside for himself. So look at, here's all of the tops that he left for Bear, and he has all of the bottoms. Well, what pile's the good pile, the tops or the bottoms? Is all the good stuff in the bottom? All the good stuff is in the bottom pile. Did Bear get anything good in the top pile? No, that's not really the good part of the vegetables. Let's see what happens. Bear stared at his pile. "But Hare, all the best parts are in your half." "You chose the tops, Bear," Hare said. "Now, Hare, you've tricked me. You plant this field again, and this season I want the bottoms." Hare agreed. "It's a done deal, Bear." Well, this time, because Bear got tricked, he said that he wants whatever grows on the bottom. Do you think that the bottom stuff is going to be good this time? Do you think that it's going to be carrots and radishes and things like that again? Or do you think that Hare is going to be tricky? And do you think the good stuff's going to be on the top? Let's see what Hare does. Do you think Bear should have said something to Hare? Maybe he should have talked to Hare about what vegetables to grow before he chose. Let's see what happens. So Bear went back to sleep, and Hare and his family went to work. They planted, watered, and weeded. You see all of the Hare family, they are being very industrious with everything that they're doing for the garden. And here's Bear, and he is just asleep in his chair again. Bear slept as the crops grew. When it was time for the harvest, Hare called out, "Wake up, Bear! You get the bottoms, and I get the tops." So there he is. He's waking up Bear. What do you think? Do you think that there's going to be good stuff in the top or in the bottom? Do you think it might be the tops this time? Let's see what kind of things we're growing there. Hare and his family gathered up the lettuce, the broccoli, and the celery. Do those grow on the top or on the bottom? Those all grow on the top this time. Hare pulled off the bottoms for Bear, and he put the tops in his own pile. So he's got all of the top parts. That's where all the good parts of the vegetables are. And he gave Bear just got all the roots and kind of the yucky parts of those vegetables. Do you think Bear is going to be a little bit mad? Let's see what happens. Bear looked at his pile and scowled. "Hare, you have cheated me again." "But Bear," Hare said, "you wanted the bottoms this time." Bear growled, "You plant this field again, Hare. You've tricked me twice, and you owe me one season of both tops and bottoms." "You're right, poor old Bear," sighed Hare. "It's only fair that you get both tops and bottoms this time. It's a done deal, Bear." So Bear said he is not going to be tricked again. He is going to take the tops and the bottoms. Well, let's see what happens. So Bear went back to sleep, and Hare and his family went to work. They planted, watered, and weeded, then watered and weeded some more. So they are all hard at work, and Bear, he is just sleeping again. Bear slept as the crops grew. When it was time for the harvest, Hare called out, "Wake up, Bear! This time you get the tops and the bottoms." Do you think the tops and the bottoms will be good? You think tops and bottoms will both be good things? Well, let's see, because Hare is pretty sneaky. He does some tricky things. Do you think that he tricked Bear again? Well, how could he trick Bear if Bear gets the tops and the bottoms? Let's see what Hare did. There in front of Bear's house lay a high field of corn. Hare and his family yanked up every corn stalk. Hare tugged off the roots at the bottom and the tassels at the top and carefully placed them in a pile for Bear. Then he carefully collected the ears of corn in the middle and placed them in his own pile. Bear rubbed his eyes and watched. "See, Bear, you get the tops and the bottoms. I get the middles. Yes, Bear, it's a done deal." Because does the corn grow at the bottom? It doesn't grow at the bottom. Does it grow at the very top? It doesn't grow at the top. The corn grows in the middle. Did Hare trick him again? He did. He tricked Bear again. Do you think Bear's very happy? I don't think Bear is very happy at all. By now, Bear was wide awake. "That's it, Hare, he hollered. "From now on, I'll plant my own crops and take the tops, bottoms, and middles." Hare and his family scooped up the corn and hopped down the road toward home. So did Hare get all sorts of food for his family? He did. And what did Bear get? Did he get nothing? Did he just get the yucky parts? He got the yucky parts. Well, who did all of the work? Did Hare do the work or did Bear? Hare did all of that hard work. So he did trick Bear, but he's the one who did the work. And what about Bear? Was he a little bit lazy? He was a little bit lazy because he didn't want to do any work, but he wanted to get those vegetables. And he ended up with just the yucky parts. Bear never again slept through a season of planting and harvesting. Hare bought back his land with the profit from the crops, and he and Mrs. Hare opened a vegetable stand. And although Hare and Bear learned to live happily as neighbors, they never became business partners again. That is the story of Tops and Bottoms. I hope everyone enjoyed our story today, Tops and Bottoms by Janet Stevens. Kind of a silly story, but kind of a fun one. I thought that I would show you a craft today that has to do with the story. Because the story had to do with vegetables and vegetables that grow both above ground and below ground, I thought that I would do a vegetable that grows below ground today for our craft, and I will show you how to make that. You will need, first off, you'll need a paper plate, and I've already done some of the parts that I needed to with my paper plate. So you see the top half of the paper plate, I used blue crayon and I just kind of colored that in blue. The bottom half is colored in brown. Again, I just used crayon for both of those. And I took a hole punch and I punched some holes roughly about 1 inch apart all the way around the perimeter just of the bottom half where the brown is. If you don't have a hole punch handy, you could use like a pen or a pencil that was really sharp and kind of poke it through. You just need to be very careful that you don't poke yourself. I don't want anyone to get hurt making the craft. So this is the basic part for my craft. And because we're doing it with carrots, I need to make some carrots. I've got a sheet of orange paper. And because I want my carrots to be a little bit short, I'm going to fold my piece of paper in half. So fold it in half. And I'm going to trace what to me is kind of a rounded long triangle, because to me that's kind of a carrot shape. And that way I can make some good looking carrots. If I don't trace it ahead of time, then I know that I'm not going to like how they look. So this way I know at least ahead of time. So got a couple of drawings here for my carrots. And because it's folded in half, when I cut through, I'm going to be cutting 2 of every single thing that I do. And it doesn't need to be perfect, just roughly the shape that I drew. So, as I said, yeah, I've got 2 of everything. So 2 of my first carrot, and I cut a couple more. And of course, they don't have to look alike, as we know from going grocery shopping, things like that. We know that carrots come in different shapes and sizes. Some of them are long and skinny. Some of them can be a little bit fat and wide. And they also come in different colors too. Normally we see only orange, but I have seen some other colorful carrots before. So I've got 6 carrots cut out. I think that's going to be enough for the craft. When I think of the carrots, I always think of like a little curly green coming up from the top. To make that part, I've got some green curling ribbon. And I'm just going to cut out a little bit of green curling ribbon for each of the carrots and glue that to the top, or excuse me, tape it to the top. And that way it decorates for the craft. So I've got a length of green ribbon. I'm just going to fold it a few times. And cut right through all of my loops. So right there, and a little bit of tape. So that's taped on my first carrot, and I'm going to go ahead and decorate the rest of the carrots. I'm going to fast forward on our filming so that you don't have to wait while I do all of these. The next thing that I'm going to do is do the yarn weaving on the plate. So I've got the plate already ready. So blue on the top, brown on the bottom. Around the perimeter of the bottom of it, I have some holes punched out. And I'm going to take my yarn. I've got some brown yarn, and I took one end of the yarn and I put a little bit of tape on there so that way as I'm weaving this through the holes, it won't tend to fray or come apart. So, get my tangle of yarn, and I'm going to take the one end and string it through one of the holes, and pulling it through. Long yarn. I'm going to pull that through until I get to almost the end. And I don't want to pull the end of the piece of yarn all the way through, so I'm going to take a piece of tape and just tape that on the back so it's nice and secure. Now I'm going to take, for the first part of the yarn that I do, I'm going to go straight across so I have a nice straight line. And then after that, I can weave back and forth all over the plate. And I don't need to use all of my yarn because, as you see, I've got quite a bit of yarn to do. So I can weave either on the front, I can weave on the back, I can do a little bit of both. Because I have so much yarn, I'm going to go ahead and go back and forth on both the front and back. So it's going to go back and forth. And I'll start speeding this up in just a moment so you can see how it will look. So this is it so far. I'm going to go back and forth. Once you've gone back and forth and put your yarn through all of the holes, then you can go back and forth and do all sorts of patterns. You can put it from side to side, you can do it straight across, you can do it different angles, whatever you would like to do, however you think it looks good. When you have finished and you're about done with your yarn, I'm going to take that last end and simply tape it to the back of the plate. So there's the back of the plate, and here's the front. And then the last part that we are going to do is take all of those carrots that we saw earlier, the carrots that we need, and I'm just going to put the carrots into the plate so it looks like the carrots are underground. So make sure that when you're doing this that you leave the green part sticking up through the top, because the green will be above ground and the orange for the carrot will be below ground. And you can do as many of your carrots as you'd like. You can try and stuff all of them in there, you can do just a couple, it is completely up to you. So I'm going to try and put in a few more. And just kind of tuck them in through that yarn, and the yarn will kind of hold them in place. So there it is. There's our bountiful garden, just like in the story today, tops and bottoms, where we found out about vegetables that grow on top and vegetables that grow below ground. So this is our vegetable craft for today. I hope everybody enjoyed the craft and everyone enjoyed the story. Everyone have a great rest of the afternoon. Bye-bye.